the first step and reach out for tomorrow. Live so
Time
fast.
for an unpleasant blind guy, conservative Byte. People, we're on our own. A sample of comments from those running for President of the United States in 2016 will help confirm this. One day after the Paris attacks of Friday the 13th of November 2015, Hillary Clinton said, "I don't think we're at war with Islam. I don't think we're at war with all Muslims. I think we're at war with jihadists. We've got to reach out to Muslim countries. We've got to have them be part of our coalition." Martin O'Malley said, "Let's not fall into the trap of thinking that all of our Muslim American neighbors in this country are somehow our enemies here. They are our first line of defense." Bernie Sanders reaffirmed his view that global warming is a greater threat than terrorism and that, in fact, global warming causes terrorism. Most Republican candidates stated that we're at war with radical Islam and ISIS. Ted Cruz issued a statement saying, "We need to immediately declare a halt to any plans to bring refugees that may have been infiltrated by ISIS to the United States." Cruz also suggested relaxed rules of engagement when fighting ISIS in the Middle East. His plan is somewhat more robust than other candidates. Bobby Jindal wrote a letter to President Obama demanding answers regarding Syrian quote-unquote refugees coming into the United States and gave a longer version of a statement he gave in January of 2015. Islam has a problem. Muslim leaders must make clear that anyone who commits acts of terror in the name of Islam is in fact not practicing Islam at all. You see a sad, familiar pattern. While none of the three major Democratic candidates, one day after the Paris attacks, were willing to even use the phrase radical Islam, their counterparts on the Republican side ride the fence between tough talk and political correctness. One can only conclude from this, people, that we are going to have to protect ourselves. This means that in situations such as those that happened in Paris, and in the Oregon College here in the United States, where Christian students were targeted by a shooter, we the people are going to have to be ready to take a hand. We can and should vote for candidates that respect the Second Amendment of the United States and are ready to preserve it without reservation. But clearly, in the political reality of 2015, that's not enough. As long as our leaders and those who would be our leaders refuse to recognize Islam as the root cause of these terrorist attacks will continue, and they can happen anywhere. That being the case, each of us, as American citizens, must be prepared to defend ourselves and to defend our friends and neighbors. Where we can, we must arm ourselves. But further than that, we have to prepare ourselves mentally for a time when we, personally, may have to sacrifice ourselves for our fellows. It doesn't come from right-wing extremism, and it doesn't come from race hatred. It comes from the love of those whom you share a community with. It comes from a realization that we live in an interconnected world. When situations like the Paris attacks or the Oregon College shooting occur, even if all we have is a hand with some skin on it, we must resolve within ourselves to attack the attackers. Yes, we may be sacrificed in the attempt, but in those cases, it's better to die on our feet than to live on our knees. Now, I'm not saying this, people, because I want to talk big, or because I see myself as a hero in some stupid Hollywood movie. I'm saying these things because I am sick and tired of classrooms, theaters, and other venues filled with people being killed by jihadists and murdering scumbags when they could rush these people, give them a solid beat down, and hand their narrow butts over to the cops. Now, I spoke with someone about doing this Byte who has been in the military, and they spoke the truth that in these situations most people freeze. But being able to do something when an attack occurs begins with the evolution of a calm resolve when you know you're right with God, or when you know you're right with your conscience, and you know you're prepared to do what you can do for the good of others. And let's not forget a man named Tom Beamer, who was on Flight 93 on 9/11, who knew his hour was up and got together with the other passengers and saved who knows how many lives. People, if the government won't act on our behalf, then we're going to have to do it ourselves. Prepare. Arm yourselves. Train yourselves. Get yourselves right with God. Or if you don't believe in God, get yourselves right with your conscience. So that if that evil moment comes, when someone threatens your life or the life of your fellow citizens, the love in your heart for others will be expressed, and you will say, as Todd Beamer did, "Let's roll." This has been an unpleasant blind guy, conservative Byte.